years of dependency on petroleum products, right? So you have all the machinery, you have all the manufacturing, you have all the equipment dedicated to working with petroleum products. Everything, for example, from, one of the things that, for example, like chips. So when you recycle, even when you recycle plastic bottles, they get made into basically plastic chips, right? So chips are easy, right? Bags of them, then you basically melt them and you make different things out of them. Natural rubber, you have to tap a tree, right? You make the latex, you have to purify that latex, in our case, to make Yulex pure, and then you have to extrude that to make a filament. So it's a whole entirely different processes that are very different from the regular supply chain that currently exists. And so part of that adoption is brands are all about money, right? And petroleum, for many years was fairly low. Its commodity prices were good, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with a lot of plastics. And so they developed this whole supply chain and system where they could get everything for goods that were fairly cheap, right? A pair of shoes, may sell for $120, $150, but it probably costs less than $20 to make, right? And so in comes a new material, and there's adoption, there's development, and development is long. It's anywhere from 12 to really 24 months to incorporate a new material, do all the quality testing, do all the washes, run it through the whole thing. It can be quite complicated. And so there's just reluctance and resistance to that because, of course, that costs. And then you're asking, brands don't really own their own assets, right? They're partnering just like we are with manufacturing partners. So then you're asking that manufacturing partner to do that development. And oftentimes they don't want to do that development because they're having to stop their equipment, right, and their production line. So like, do I want to stop basically making millions of pairs of socks every month to basically test out a new filament? So you're coming across, there are certain barriers like that that are just like, you're just pressing hands, making your case, and like, hoping. So right now, for example, with Elastic, the filament that we're working with over 75 different manufacturers. I'm not saying all of them are successful, but we've had that communication, had that discussion. And all along the supply chain, people who make our filaments and spool them so they look like spandex, others who cover them for yarns so that people who can make knits and textiles and socks and elastics and denim can use them. And then you have the fabric producers who actually have to make those textiles. And then you have the finished goods. And that's what the brands deal with, is the finished goods. So that's a tier 1 producer, right? So think of all that has to be put in place before that brand can actually buy that finished good.